The, hello. The objective for today's lesson is students will learn how to find the least common multiple for two numbers. The prior knowledge that you would have prior to this would be that when you're looking at two numbers, the multiples of those two numbers are the numbers that they share. So, for example, if you're looking for numbers 5 and 10, 5, 10, 10, 20, so you factor each number, or you skip count, you don't factor, you skip count for each number, and then the numbers that they share are common multiples. So these would be common multiples. So as a student, you already know that information. So today we're looking for least common multiples, which a least common multiple is the first multiple that you have for two numbers. So when skip counting for 5 and 10, 10 would be the first least common multiple, it's the first number that they share. Now we'll look over a couple examples of least common multiples. The first one is for the examples of numbers 2 and 5. So we'll start out with number 2. We will skip count for number 2 5 times to make sure that we have the least common multiple show up. So we'll go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Next, we will go to number 5, and we will skip count until we see a number that correlates or is the same as the number that came up for number 2. So 5, and then 10. And then 10 was one of the numbers for number 2, so 10 is our least common multiple. Next, we'll go over a word problem. The word problem is, if Tim and Sheila had to put a red flag every 10 yards and a green flag every 6 yards, we would be the first point to have both a red and green flag. Now, when looking at word problems for least common multiples, what you want to make sure you do is look for the numbers that you see in there and then skip count with those numbers. So for the red flags, it's every 10 yards. So we're looking for the multiples of 10. And for the green flag, it's every 6 yards. So we're looking for 6 for that. So we'll start off with the lower number 6, and we'll skip count for 6 10 times. And skip counting is just when you add 6, you go 6, 12, so you continue to count with the number that you start out with. So it'd be 6, 12, 18, and then 24, and then 30. So next, that's the red flags. So next we'll go to the green flags. So the green flags are showing up every 10 yards. So we will go for 10, we'll do 10 now. So 10, 20, 30. So every red flag, so if Tim and Sheila had to put a red flag every 10 yards, that'd be 10, 20, 30, and a green flag every 6 yards, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, when would be the first point the two have both a red and green flag? So the first point that they both match up would be the 30. So the 30 would be the first point that you see the red and the green flag, and that would be your least common multiple. Now the students would be given a worksheet to continue practicing over least common multiples, and it would be over more examples like the two examples we went over in class: word problems and then number problems. There's an example on the beginning of the sheet if they have any more questions on how to figure it out. And the final thing we would do is a formative assessment. So we'll do the formative assessment now. The formative assessment I've chosen for least common multiples is a word problem. So this will be to see if they understand what we've gone over in class. So the word problem is, the 6th graders sit in every third row of the class. And the fifth graders sit in every second row. So the sixth graders sit in every third row, and the fifth graders sit in every second row in the bleachers getting ready for school. What would be the first row that the fifth and sixth graders meet? Unlike the examples that we gave earlier, at this time to speed up, the students would try to figure out the problem on their own. But once they had all given it their best and tried to find their answer, then we would go over it as a class to show them what the correct answer is and see if they understand least common multiples. So for a word problem, you want to look for the numbers. So the students need to make sure to ignore the 6th and the 5th. That could be confusing because that is a number, but that's related to the grades. So make sure they don't use those as the multiples that they're looking for. The numbers they're looking for is every third row and every second row. And for this problem, it's helpful to draw it out on the board. And so you can use lines. You can use lines to equivalent to being rows. So we'll do it's every third row and every second row. So we'll do 3 lines. So every third line is where the 6th graders sit. So we'll write 6th graders next to it to show that they sit in every third row. And then every second row will be the 5th graders. So we'll go, that's 4, so that's another second row, so that's 5th graders again. And then we'll go 3 more rows down, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the 6th graders sit here. And then 2 more down for the 5th graders, be where the 5th graders sit. So after the drawing, you can see that after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows, that's where the 5th and 6th graders meet together. So the least common multiple for 2, and 3 would be 6. And then one more way that another way the students might want to write this out would be the way we did for the word problem earlier. So it would be, for 2, you would do 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Write out 5 times, just make sure that you have, just to make sure that you want to write out 5 times at least, so that when you're doing the other number for the least common multiple, it will come up. If you only write out a couple times, you might miss where they collide. And then for 3, you do 3, 6, and then once you see that the 6 is matching both, that would be your least common multiple. So that's all for my lesson, and thank you.